of those who will last and are now first. Woohoo!
Turn that down. That's better. Yeah, good afternoon and good evening. And like that, you are about to start listening to, today is right now, this minute is 6 minutes and 1 minute. 6 hours and 1 minute. Old. Anyway, you're about to start listening to Sitting with Gianluca here at Radio Free Brooklyn, and I am Gianluca. I will be sitting with you till 7 p.m. this Wednesday, and I want to thank you. First of all, I really want to thank people that wrote in congratulating me and just saying nice things about my special on New Orleans that I did last week. I made a case about New Orleans being the center of all black urban music, that if you follow all black urban music, from funk, house music, hip-hop, rap, anything, you will end up in New Orleans, either with the post-war R&B or the Mardi Gras Indians that do funky beats and rhythms, or jazz, of course. So, anyway, that was my thing. I spent an hour trying to state my case, and I want to thank anyone that fed back to me for your feedback. Anyway, this Wednesday, I'm not going to do that. This Wednesday, sitting with me this Wednesday is the great Tommy James, Radio Free Brooklyn host of Sally Can't Dance on Thursdays.
Fridays.
Every Thursdays. Oh, is it every Fridays? Thank you. Every Friday at, I just rescheduled you. Do you mind?
That's fine.
Okay, cool. I gave you a better time slot, man. So, Fridays, 5 p.m., and Tommy is with me in the studio, sitting with me in the studio. We're going to be talking about music, 80s music particularly. We both have the same accent, been to the same cruddy places and some not so cruddy places. And we're going to talk about 80s music and this, that, and the other. So, Tommy, thank you for joining me and thank you for sitting with me this afternoon.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
It's been great. And this has been a long time coming, actually, because our conversations become quite unique, I would say.
Yes.
In many respects. And it's, we're here.
We hatched after a few beers, we hatched this plan to talk about 80s music for good and for bad, because there's an 80s revival. And but before we get there, though, I want to talk a little bit, because you, well, first of all, I want to talk about Sally Can't Dance, because so tell me your manifesto of Sally Can't Dance, like what, the way you, because you're really very, very eclectic, and what you're trying to, what's your center of gravity, what's your idea behind Sally Can't Dance?
Well, it starts with everything that I love, of course, which begins with punk rock.
Right.
And it's a collage, and everything's just basically cobbled together. There's no script, and it just ranges from everything right through, from early jazz and blues right through to punk rock, acid house, local bands, and, you know, whatever I feel that I'm feeling on the day.
Yeah.
I generally talk about absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And do you mind if I put my shades on?
You can put your shades on,
because
it's allowed.
I was thinking about the 80s thing. It's a kind of orange in here, and I've just... is that better?
Yeah, you look just like Flock of Seagulls.
Yeah. No, I was thinking more like psychedelic furs. Can we do
that?
Yeah.
I give you psychedelic furs. Sorry, that was insulting the Flock of Seagulls. You can throw something at me if you wish.
But the idea of psychoanalysis was because I do DJ live for a living, and, you know, in doing that, I was also a singer in a rock and roll band, so I kind of mix those two things together. And the Tommy James that's on Sally Can't Dance isn't really me; it's just an extension of me. So, you know, it's somewhere between Alan Partridge and Bono in 1985. So when you hear the crowd, the crowd gets bigger every week. I've got a fake live studio, a real live studio audience and it grows. It started off with about 30 people. Now it's about 900.
Oh my goodness!
So it's it's growing, and my ego is becoming bigger and bigger every show.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
Yeah, congrats. Well, it's a really good listen anyway. I'm a listener on most weeks, as a matter of fact, and I will recommend it to anyone listening.
Thank you.
It's a mighty fine listen. And but we should also talk about before we start talking about the 80s decade.
Yeah.
What were you doing in the 80s? We should play something immediately from your band. So just tell us what you were doing, what your band was, and a little bit present a song that we're going to play, and just tell us or tell me what it is and what you were doing then.
I was, making records from the early 80s at a very young age, and we did our first recording session in a place called Cargo Studios, which is where Joy Division came out of in Salford, Manchester. But during the 80s, there was a desert musically. So really, my band was more a product of the early 90s. So my band in the early 90s was called Love's Young Nightmare, and which we basically morphed into Freaks of Desire, which was more mid to late 90s. This is when we came to America. So Love's Young Nightmare was a heavy touring band, very earnest, very honest, clean, and the Freaks became this very dark, almost sadistic form of electronic rock and roll before it really was anything.
Because you're talking what? You said early 90s, right?
Early 90s,
late 80s, early 90s?
We were called pioneers of Britpop. So we were around just before Oasis and Suede and all that kind of thing. And we would be playing with all those kind of bands like Jesus Jones and Wonder Stuff. That was kind of our thing.
Oh,
so
all right.
Yeah, and we did we're very fortunate to be able to work with people like Martin Rushent, who was one of my producers' heroes, who produced The Stranglers, Buzzcocks, and Human League.
Yeah. No longer with us, right? He passed away.
Unfortunately not.
Ah, okay.
He's a great man.
I think he did the birthday party too.
He did, and he was also the Tony Visconti's engineer for a lot of the Bowie stuff and a lot of the Mark Bolan T-Rex.
Ah, right.
Things too. But his baby was really the Stranglers.
Yeah.
And of course Human League later on, but the Stranglers was his thing.
Yeah. He's known for that, but he was a very versatile because he made we should play. We're going to have to play something of his now, but let's play something from your band then. Well, so pick something,
There's a song that they're called Goodbye June.
Yeah.
Well, that's a Martin production Russian. That's probably 1991.
1991. All right, let's play that one. Let's see if this works.
Okay.
When we had enough the nation Stay in time with the rhythm and rhyme. Get around town.
Oh, yes, that's the sound of the crowd there by the Human League. Preceding that was... what was preceding that? I completely forgot. What did I play, Tommy?
You played Big Area by Then Jericho, which was also a Martin Russian choice.
Oh, that's where we were.
You could have played the Stranglers, the Buzzcocks, Generation X.
Yeah.
But you chose Then Jericho, which actually, as we're talking about the 80s...
segued perfectly.
They were one of those bands that were actually really good.
Yes.
In the bad part of the 80s.
Oh, wait, stick a pin in it right now, because in case anyone's just turned on, I have to tell them that they're listening. Well, what's going on? They're listening to two people with funny accents talk.
Yeah.
Well, one person with a funny accent, that would be you. And
thanks, mate.
But
I'm not sure that it's just me that's got the funny accent right now, because I just can't even place yours.
Yeah, I can't place mine either.
But I'm from North, you see.
You're from... that's right.
North, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, this bears some. If you've just tuned in, you are about 20-something minutes through into Sitting with Gianluca here at Radio Free Brooklyn. Sitting with me is Sally Khan dance impresario there, Tommy James. Fridays, 5 p.m.
Yep.
And we are talking about the 80s. I have to also say that Radio Free Brooklyn is a community station, which means we're completely broke. Aren't we broke? Completely broke, Tommy, aren't we? Absolutely bloody broke. Brassic, we are.
No.
Lights.
I'd be great. Look, these headphones are just like, I've only got one side.
They're paper clips and chewing gum, right?
I know, right? And I'm sitting on a stool with like two legs.
Absolutely.
Balancing.
Two-legged school balancing.
Yes.
That's how little money we've got.
It is.
But
I've got holes in my socks.
And he's got holes in his in one sock, can't afford the other sock.
Yep,
He's making a down payment on that. That's how little money we have. So we need your help.
We've got ourselves.
We've got our listeners that donate.
Yes.
And you can do so. By the way, it's also tax deductible, so you get your money back from Uncle Sam. And you can donate on the Radio Free Brooklyn website. There is any number of buttons and stuff that you can click and part with. Anything will do, right?
Just send us socks.
Send us socks. Send Tommy. Well, send one sock to Tommy because he can only afford one, and I need a pair because I can't afford either. But there's any ways of doing that on the RadioFreeBrooklyn.com website.
And they double up as pop shields.
And they double up. Oh, the socks is still, and the socks
straight
double
in there, then.
And shrapnel double up as a Con Edison bill. So if you got a few coins, drop it in the bucket. Nothing too small, certainly nothing too big. And thank you in advance. And also there's like clicks about how you can get in touch with Tommy and how you can get in touch with me, the Instagrams, emails, and all the rest of it. And we are talking about the 80s. And we played 3 songs by Martin Rushent, who's a fantastic, he's sort of had quite a long career through the 70s and the 80s, and he sort of designed the sound of the 80s, didn't he? You knew him, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, we worked with him for a good amount of weeks, maybe 8-9 weeks at his studio called Genetic.
Okay.
Which was just outside of Reading, actually in a village called Goring. And this studio, I guess he built it on the back of this success with people like the Stranglers, Buzzcocks, Generation X, and it was probably our first. They used to have things called residential studios, and they used to go and stay there.
Yeah,
and it was a fantastic thing. And he was had some great Mark Bolan stories, and
what did he produce? He didn't produce Mark.
He was Tony Visconti's engineer.
Oh, on the Mark Bolan record.
Yeah, so he had some good stuff, but he had good stories about everybody, and I think we created some more when we were with him. But it's one of those producers we learnt a lot from. And
go on.
Yeah.
No, because my question then was, so we heard 3 Human League, then Jericho. He did the Stranglers. He did you guys. He did Birthday, Happy Birthday. What? I forgot.
Altered Images.
Altered Images. Thank you.
I think that was a low point.
Yes, but still, he was what I'm saying is it's a good sounding record, and he was comfortable in punk and pop, and electronica. Like he knew how to. He wasn't stuck in a one sound producer like some.
I mean, without Martin, the Human League would be still in Sheffield making records like Being Boiled on Fast Records, and Martin really invented that whole really highly produced analog sound, which so many bands have been influenced by.
Yeah. So do you think the Human League that we just heard, is that the sound of Martin Rushent's brain?
Absolutely.
He dressed it. So what did they sound like before, do you think?
It was very lo-fi, almost like a poppier throbbing gristle.
Oh,
that kind of thing, that industrial, the beginnings of industrial music.
Yeah.
And Martin was able to. He also had a lot of respect in the music industry because he'd had so many hit records, and they gave him carte blanche to pretty much produce how he wanted. No one would turn around to Martin and say, "Go back and remix that." He'd be like, "Get out of here." No, it was amazing.
Oh, because he had good pedigree. By the time he broke through with the Stranglers, he already had good pedigree because he'd been with Tony Visconti and made all those T-Rex, he was engineering at that point and wasn't producing yet. Produced those T-Rex albums. So by the time he started producing, after having a hit with the Stranglers,
he was actually also working in A&R for United Artists Records. So he was actually an A&R person. He was a talent scout.
All right,
A&R, for people that don't know what that is talent scout. So he was finding these bands and going to watch them and then being allowed to actually go and produce them. So he knew the whole spectrum.
Oh, right.
And in doing so, he was able to create this sound. So you hear these Stranglers records and they're absolutely produced into them. Everything's in the red. Buzzcocks, Peter Shelley, the way that he was able to produce his vocals in such a dry fashion with very, very few effects. And right up to the point where the Human League came along, and which was, of course, probably his biggest commercial success.
Right.
And then, of course, everybody wanted to work with him and started paying him like so much money, which was unfortunately became his downfall.
So did he produce the one that probably everyone remembers as "Don't You Want Me"? Is that one of his? That's his production.
That's
too?
Martin.
So they would still be in. Yes, interesting. He was very, very good producer. Very prolific.
Yeah, Sheffield's not a place to be stuck in.
Sheffield. Well, you'd better explain that to people that don't know Sheffield.
Right.
I know Sheffield some, sadly, but
well, the Arctic Monkeys are from Sheffield.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
your major export. Recent major export. Right now.
But they also were very famous for making knives and forks.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Sheffield Steel.
Judas
famous.
Priest album called Sheffield Steel.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what we can play?
What?
All
Please
right.
no Judas Priest.
No, not around here. Only good music.
Good.
I know a band, the Sheffield band. Talk amongst yourselves, listeners. I know a Sheffield band from the 80s. I'm going to surprise you with it.
Okay.
This is how listeners know that I'm doing live radio, because there's sort of silence and me trying to figure out how to work things, and I do that deliberately because if it's too smooth, people think this is all pre-recorded and stuff. And I don't want that.
I could have some canned laughter, or I could throw in something like somebody talking and some guests that's not even there, but.
No, well, I ordered the dancing horses, but they haven't showed up yet because on the Radio Free Brooklyn budget,
There's no way.
All right, so here's a Sheffield band from the 80s.
All right.
That's
Try to understand that certain feeling carved by another's hand. Oh. But it's too late to hesitate. We can't keep on living like this. Leave no track. Don't look back.
Only desire.
Temptation.
We're climbing higher and higher.
Temptation.
Adorable creatures.
Temptation.
With unacceptable features.
Temptation.
Trouble is coming.
Temptation.
It's just the high cost of loving.
Temptation.
You can take it or leave it.
Temptation.
But you better believe it.
You've got to make me an offer that cannot be ignored. So let's head for home now. Everything I have is yours. Oh. Step by step, day by day, every second.
Oh, yes. Heaven 17, Temptation. I love that song. What do you think, Tommy James?
Great choice,
Yes.
mate. Fantastic. You've been blowing my mind all the past 35 minutes, mate.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
There's a check in the mail. A bouncing check is in the mail on the way
Socks.
to you. Socks. A
Thank you.
sock. Well, just one of the socks.
Yeah.
Can't afford two.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, another Sheffield band. And
Brilliant.
there's a Human League connection because it was produced by one of the Human Leaguers.
Was it?
Yep. And I can't remember which one it was. I was never a fan
It
of
was
it.
one of the girls, was it? They were kind of a little bit.
No. Well, it's cool how the girls got into Human League because
Yeah.
he literally saw them in a club and said, want to be in a band? And they went, okay.
I thought one of them was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. Isn't that part of the story?
Yes, I heard that story,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I did
Okay.
hear that story. So I like the Human League now. I will have to say one of the things I hated about the 80s, is digital synthesizers. Although
Really?
I had a very hard time with synthesizers. It was the early days of digital technology and it hadn't got there. Well, it got there with the Human League, but a lot of the productions, especially if you're listening to sort of the Spandaus and the it was very cheesy, very synthy.
But
And
what do you think about Kraftwerk and their synthesizers? Do you count that as like...
no,
Oh.
I have no idea, but that's how a synthesizer. I don't know why the 80s couldn't make their synthesizer sound as good as Kraftwerk did 10 years beforehand. What that?
Well, it
Tell
changed
me.
when it was, synthesizers were originally analog based machines.
Yeah.
And then as the 80s progressed, you got these terrible things called DX7s. Like
Right.
DX7 it was a Yamaha. Was it Roland DX7?
Okay.
And it was, there'd be one synthesizer would come out every like 4 to 5 months and everybody would use the same thing.
Yeah.
So unless you were going backwards and using things like a Prophet or a Mirage or something like that, everybody used the same sounds. And that's why it became really cheesy. And I know exactly that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Definitely, because Kraftwerk, their synthesizer sounded
No,
great.
that was not a DX7. That was something else.
Yeah.
But it was, there wasn't that much equipment around. So that's why there wasn't samples either, really, as such. Like now you only had a limited amount of sounds, or you would, and it was a different thing. And I think that whole era from about 83 up until when Acid House hit England in 88 was a musical desert, and it was weird seeing it from a point of view that when you were in a bands that were getting signed weren't even doing shows.
We're not doing shows.
You would do a showcase. And all the record labels would come down and see you. And you'd been in a nice studio. You'd been in the most expensive studio your manager could afford to put you in.
Oh, like a rehearsal studio.
Like No Miss and all
Yeah.
these different places. And they'd come down and you hadn't played a show. And they'd be giving you hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
And you'd written 3 songs. And, for me and my band, we just couldn't get signed for like 8 years
Ow.
during that whole period. And there was no real indie scene as well. Because Smiths had broken up.
Yeah.
Because technically the only indie bands were really Depeche Mode and The Cure, who was still part of Mute and Fiction Records. But there was no underlying indie scene. It was all mainstream. Everybody wanted to sound like Simple Minds. Everybody wanted to sound like, everything was like a 3rd generation copy of something.
That's
So the
interesting,
industry, it was a whole yuppie generation. It was, but it wasn't dissimilar to what was going on in Silicon Valley now, where it's just like you got these people just buying into ideas that were never really fully fulfilled. So this money was just going out to all these
Yeah.
huge recording studios and stylists and videos.
Oh, that's interesting. So most of the bands that we would have listened to in the 80s up until, say, 84 to 88, which I think the dates that you said hardly played out at all.
Yeah,
They
we look
pretty
at-
much straight to tape.
Think about bands like Cutting Crew and Johnny
Yeah.
Hates Jazz
Oof.
and all these kind of things. Swing Out Sister.
Yeah.
They were never played.
Yeah. There was one band by Tony James, no relation, Seek Sputnik.
Yes,
that was
it's a friend of mine.
Yes, that was a brilliant idea. We're getting off track, actually, so I'm going to rope it back into the 80s. But when you recorded with Martin Rushent,
Yeah.
how did you stay then? Did you stay at his place in Reading? Ah, okay. So
Yeah.
how quickly did it work? What was his working process?
It was, I think we originally did we were booked for 3 weeks with him. Mm-hmm. And then we extended. He liked our band, so he started to give us more studio time.
That was after he'd done the Human League and the three tracks that we
we're
heard
talking
already.
like 1990,
Okay.
1991.
Yeah.
And funny enough, things were really going wrong for him about that time. And so we'd walk into the little guest place we were staying, and suddenly the washing machine was gone. I'm like, where's the washing machine? And it's like, they took it.
Oh.
And so things had started to go downhill. But he was fantastic. He really was. And he was greatly missed.
Super greatly missed. So there's a connection between you. We should play something by the Eurythmics, right?
Yeah, Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart. Let's play something because out of all the 80s bands, the problem with the 80s, well, let's define it for a second. There's two 80s. You'd say from 84 to 88 as being a fallow point. I think I might have to agree with you. Up to 84, it was still, it was a tail end of post-punk.
Who did we have in 84 in your...
Pre-84, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, it was the final echoes, maybe, of Nick Lowe and Elvis Costello. They were kind of the dying embers of that. I think the Pretenders were still doing some quite good stuff.
The Blockheads.
The Blockheads. They hadn't split up yet, right? So they were still around. So it was the dying embers of post-punk, and it was the...
We still have the Jam. Well, that was Style Council, actually. No, that was later. Style Council was later.
Oh, yeah, we're having a chronological crisis here, right?
The Psychedelic Furs had kind of blown it.
Yeah, but the Clash had already imploded by that point. They were releasing that Drek.
That was terrible.
That was awful, that you hear in European discos to this day.
Really?
Rock the Casbah and all those. We should not, let's not lower the tone too much.
Okay.
I don't want people switching off their radio sets. But throughout it all, probably through that whole decade, the Eurythmics were consistently a tight band.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say all their records were really good?
That was
Dave Stewart, yeah.
They just kept churning that stuff out.
This is to me where I remember seeing this tour and it was phenomenal.
Really?
Probably, I'm going to play The Missionary Man off, I'm just going to play it. Here it is. Let's see if this works.
Well, I was born an original sinner. I was born from original sin. And if I had $1 bill for all the things I've done, there'd be a mountain of money piled up to my chin. Told me strong, she said be true to yourself and you can't go wrong. But there's just one thing that you must understand. You can fool with your brother, but don't mess with a missionary man. 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 Oh, the missionary. From behind, black-eyed looks from those Bible books. He's a man with a mission, got a serious mind. There was a woman in the jungle and a monkey on
All right. Well, the Eurythmics here at Sitting with Gianluca here at Radio Free Brooklyn. I will be with you till 7 p.m. Sitting with me is let me turn this off, is Tommy James.
Hello.
Hello. Radio host for Sally Can't Dance, Fridays, 5 p.m.
Till 7.
5 till 7. Let me turn your mic up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
Maybe I should just move a little bit closer.
Yeah, either or. But yeah, 5 till 7, 2 hours of smashing music and musician, 80s musician who got, wait, did you get, so Eurythmics. So Dave Stewart, I want to get back to the Eurythmics for a second, because they really, I mean, it was Dave Stewart's sort of, he was the brain behind it. And to me, that's one band that really, he was even good in the Tourists, pre-Eurythmics.
Yeah.
But from Eurythmics, pretty much all their albums, they didn't really have any valleys. They were very, very good. There's a connect. You knew Dave Stewart, right?
Well, Dave signed my band. My band, Love's Young Nightmare, became Freaks of Desire under the wing of Dave Stewart. And Dave had a label called Anxious Records, which was actually part of East West, which is part of Warner's Atlantic, I should say. And he had bands like Curve. Do you remember Curve? Tony Halliday, Alan Moulder, who was responsible for Nine Inch Nails and all this kind of.
Yeah.
So Dave signed us, liked us, and he took us under his wing, and we virtually lived in his studio in Crouch End called the Church, which was a 17th century church which was never consecrated. Apparently, it was run by a pastor who was worshipping all kinds of weird things like angels and demons.
Oh, yeah.
And he was hung.
Oh.
Straight outside.
Oh, you're going back to the 1600s, 1700s.
1700s,
yeah.
So,
Okay,
anyway,
yeah,
I could go on about this, but Dave had all these weird stories about it, and I'm not even sure half of them are true. But what is true is that he used to live in a squat across from the church before he converted the place into 2 Class A studios with film editing, rehearsal studios, all kinds of demoing facilities. He went in there when Annie and him were broke and dating, and basically rented a room for about £50 for the month, and they took a reel-to-reel into that room, and they wrote and produced Sweet Dreams. And with that, on the strength of that, they bought the whole place.
Oh, yeah, that was a massive hit.
Yeah, they brought to buy the whole church, fix it up, put a roof on it. Yeah. And have people like me in the studio running around for 10 years.
Because he produced a lot of bands that he produced that he's not kind of known for producing, right, at the time. I mean, he's known for being the Eurythmics songwriter, guitar player, and producer, among other things.
Yeah, I mean, but the other thing was that people don't really know about him, but is the church. I mean, we would be recording right next to My Bloody Valentine. I mean, Loveless was finished there.
Oh, right.
That was about the time that we were there. Radiohead finished OK Computer there.
Ah, okay. No kidding. And
I would
Dave
get
Stewart.
knocks on the door on the demo, and I'd be like, "Who's this?" And he's like, "It's Lou." I'm like, "Lou who?" Be like, "Lou Reed."
Oh, that guy.
I'm like, "You got to go around the front, mate." And you're like, "Okay." Well, that's the wrong accent, obviously. But no, seriously, like that, it was crazy. People would just park the cars, Mick Jagger's there, Paul McCartney, whoever, Bob Dylan, all walking down the street. It was weird.
Oh, yeah.
He did a few tracks with Bob Dylan.
There's that wonderful. So, Bob Dylan likes to, when he's tours, he likes to get out and go for a walk at night.
Yes, I do that.
Right?
I do know that,
So he puts on a hoodie. But anyway, he was in London, and because him and Dave Stewart are quite close.
Yeah.
So Bob Dylan actually wanted to visit Dave Stewart in Crouch End. Yeah, but
it's the whole myth of the story. It's a story. Yes.
Oh, you know this story too.
Of course I do. Yeah, I was there at the time.
Oh wait. Then I'll tell. Then I got a different. Then you might have a different story.
Well,
than
he
mine.
showed up. He showed up at the lady's house, the wrong place.
Oh, okay. Well, you tell it then.
No, it's an urban legend now.
Is it true? Well, let's you say.
Dave
it, and
told
then
the story. So
he told the story.
He told the story, but he always embellished everything. But apparently it was a very true story. And he was hanging out with Bob Dylan at that time, and Dylan was walking through Camden Town, and I think Dave was actually producing the video. I don't think he was actually recording. He was actually producing his video.
Right.
But yeah, that was something that happened. That Dave we were all like.
So the story goes is that my version of the story that I know is that Bob Dylan wants to drop in on Dave. And
he was looking for the studio. He's looking for the church.
he's looking for the church, but he knocks on a door and he gets the address wrong. So he knocks on
Yeah.
the door and this old lady answers the door.
That's right.
And he goes, "Oh, hello."
Is Dave there?
It's Dave there.
Right.
And she goes, and she just happened to have a son called Dave who
Yeah.
was a plumber. And he
Exactly.
goes, "No, he's out right now, but he'll be back soon. Would you
And
like
get
to
him
have
on
a
the
cup
phone.
of tea?"
Yeah.
Would you like to have a cup of tea? And he's sitting down having a cup of tea. And her son, Dave, the plumber, comes home after a hard day's plumbing. And there's Bob Dylan sitting
Yeah.
in his mum's living room having a cup of tea.
No, I heard that story when apparently like 2 days after it was supposed to happen. But then Dave would tell us all kinds of weird
Oh, right.
stuff about, the kind of ghosts that were in there, which it was terrifying sometimes in there. We used to record in a part of the church which was a crypt.
Uh-huh.
And literally there was a doorway where they used to take the dead bodies and take them under Crouch End to the cemetery. So, there you are at the middle of the night trying to write songs and you're just like hearing bumps and all this kind of weird
Yeah.
stuff. And there's all these like apparent orgies that were happening down the 17th and the 18th century. So yeah, and Crouch End's a very weird place.
Well, most of London is a very weird place if you go back far enough, because every single corner of London has something weird happening.
Yeah, it does.
I'm always amazed at where people do their shopping, where people got hung and
Yeah.
drawn and quartered.
Oh yeah, and there's
Roxburgh Street.
plague pits. World's End, which is in Chelsea. It's World's End because it was a huge plague pit.
Ah,
Which in fact, World's End was where Vivienne Westwood's
yep.
store was. Sex
SEX, that's right. That's
That's
where
right.
the Sex Pistols started, and
Exactly.
Malcolm McLaren and all of that.
on top of 500,000 plague corpses.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have that in New York too. There's Washington Square Park, which is, well, it's not 500,000, it's only 30,000 dead people because it was
Is that right?
Potter's Field. There's a hanging tree on the
Oh,
corner
really?
of Washington Square
I
Park. Yeah.
didn't know that.
But I digress.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh.
Dave Stewart could build a studio right there.
Right, it'd be perfect. Or maybe you and I should.
You and I should build a
Or
studio
Radio Free
right
Brooklyn.
there. Or Radio Free Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But no, so Dave Stewart, anyway, I think he's a hero of the 80s. He really managed to last the whole thing. I'll tell you what I liked in the 80s. I
What?
liked all the... I always get into trouble when I bring this up because I liked all the prog rockers and the arty people doing pop music. So
Like who?
I will have to say I really dislike prog rock.
Yeah.
And I really dislike Peter Gabriel era Genesis. I really don't. It's all that
Okay.
conceptual mumbo jumbo, not for me. But I really do like that Phil Collins, I Can't Dance.
Oh,
The 80s.
guilty pleasure.
Oh, yeah. Well, Loud and Proud. Yeah, not that guilty.
Susudia,
I love Susudia.
fantastic.
Really good, right?
Really good.
Yeah. In the 80s, you could not get away from Phil Collins.
It was earlier Follow You, Follow Me, which was when Phil Collins first took over vocals, which is also a classic.
Yeah.
Genesis, but where are you going with this, mate?
Oh, where I'm going with this
Because I
is
thought
that-
you were like...
Yeah, you thought I was better than this, right?
No, that's
thought I
fine.
had better taste
No, it's
than
all good.
Susudio. No, I understand.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. Great
No,
track.
I understand.
What does it mean?
We can't hang out anymore.
Yes, we can.
No, yeah, right. Susudio, who knows? But actually, for some reason, I went to Genesis to get to Bowie because the other one that was doing great pop, of
course.
I thought was David Bowie.
Let's Dance.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And this one too, Modern Love.
Yep.
Let me do this. Let's see if this works.
I know when to go out. I know when to stay in. Get things done.
I catch a paper boy with
got to fade it out. I've just seen the time. Oh my God, time's fun when you're having flies.
Well, you've been great.
If you have just tuned in, you have just missed sitting with Gianluca here at Radio Free Brooklyn. I have been Gianluca. I've been sitting with you since 6 p.m. Teens Take the Mic is on in a few minutes. Sitting with me today has been Tommy James, host of Sally Can't Dance, Fridays 5 p.m. 2 hours of great music. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been brilliant.
So Tommy is on Instagram. What's your Instagram thing?
Tommy James NYC.
Tommy James NYC. My Instagram is sitting with GT. Also have an email sitting with at radiofreebrooklyn.org. I'm going to sign off with playing something by my guest Tommy James from is called Religion.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, Freaks of Desire.
Freaks of Desire and Religion. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, Gianluca.
Oh, let me get this on. Yes.